2, 3, 4, and 5. 6. Yeah, because she'll bug you to do that. I don't remember anyone ever asking me for that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. No, thanks for coming. Yeah, it was okay. Can you believe I talked to Jenny like a day before or 2 days before?
We can probably say that about a lot of things. You have a quorum?
Not yet.
I know, I guess I should see. Should we, Thomas, didn't I join the team meeting? I say on this browser or on the app?
App's already open and doing it, so that one, you can close that window completely if you'd like.
They are so far.
Oh, okay, we're already,
And that one you can close out too if you want.
this right here?
Yeah, or you can see your calendar if you want, but
I don't need to see the calendar, but I can't close that, right?
yeah, you can close it if you want to.
How do I know when Ben,
You just go into the,
oh, down here, okay. So that's what I need to have up until
yeah.
and then I just make it smaller when I want to go. Ben, are you there?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that'll cut the cost down. Yeah. Not much competition.
Hi there. How are you?
Hey, great.
Oh, so we have Ben and Jennifer on remote, right?
Hello, hello. Yes.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. The first order of business for the audit committee is roll call. Gene?
Ben Bartow,
Present.
Wesley Chugilern, Todd Shipley,
Here?
Ronald Ellis, Jennifer Thomas,
Here.
Vida Ozude,
Here?
and Nicole Lohr.
Present.
And we have a quorum, correct, Gene? All right, I'm Todd Shipley, Vice Chair, and acting as Chair for the meeting today. And we'll start with number 2, which is a public comment. Gene, do we have any to open with?
Oh, we don't need to go to that. Yeah, that's what it says, but.
That's what it says, but we
That's
don't have to do that.
it-
Per the
it-
attorney.
Miss
All right,
Mulder.
moving on. Okay, we'll correct that for the next
That's for
agenda.
general at the end.
So we'll go to 2.01, approval of the minutes of the audit committee meeting held August 14th for possible action. Do we have any comments or messages about this item from the committee? Everybody review it. Looks correct to me. All right, then, can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I, Nicole Lohr, move that the Audit Committee approve the minutes of the August 14, 2025 Audit Committee meeting.
Second?
I, Vida Ozude, second the motion.
All right.
And
S-
now you ask.
Now, do we have any public comment on the agenda for the previous minutes?
There's no public comment.
Thank you, Jean. Hearing no public comments, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, item number 2.02, present discussion and possible action to recommend the Washoe County School District Annual Comprehensive Financial Report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, be forwarded to the Board of Trustees for approval of possible action. So, open for discussion. Kurt? Who do we have?
Good evening. Thank you very much, and well, actually, good afternoon. I'm a little ahead of myself. My name is Charles Ribley. I'm a senior manager with Crow LLP, and we're the external financial and compliance auditors for Washoe County School District. I just appreciate your time this afternoon to talk a little bit about the results of your June 30, 2025 audit and answer any questions you may have in respect of the annual comprehensive financial report. We also have with us this evening Mark Mathers and Kyle Rodriguez. If you have questions about the financial statements themselves, we're happy to address that. We do have a presentation that we'll go through a few components of required communications that we have to make to you all as those charged with governance of the district, and a few components that we want to include in there that are just highlights for the financial results, and a few other pieces of information as well. So if we can scroll there to the next piece. So this first component here, first slide, is about our responsibilities as it relates to your financial audit. Our opinion is what we're aiming to give. We're aiming, and our objective is to give an opinion over the financial statements and federal compliance. And I'll talk about the federal compliance piece in a little bit. In conducting that audit, we have to incorporate what we call risks of material misstatement. In the auditing standards, it says we incorporate these components that have higher or lesser levels of risk of going wrong or being misstated within the financial statements. And so those higher risk items require additional audit procedures or more extensive audit procedures. We are also required to evaluate and understand the internal control structure that develops or produces the financial information that is ultimately in your ACFR. And so in that internal control evaluation, if we have identified deficiencies, either significant deficiencies or material weaknesses, we are required under the standards to communicate those with you all. And as a governmental entity, those significant deficiencies and material weaknesses would be included as supplementary information in the audit report or in your ACFR. And I'm sure you jumped to the back to look to the ACFR to see if there were any such findings, and I'm happy to report there were none. So just to sort of give a spoiler alert on that. And then, as I mentioned, a little bit of the component of risk and material misstatement is also what we call a risk-based audit approach. So we have to consider those areas of greater risk and, again, conduct additional or further audit procedures on those areas of more increased level of risk. So this process, this audit, we conduct that over a series of months. So as we've had here on the slide, we have phase 1, which is where our planning and internal control assessments are conducted. Phase 2, and we also start our federal compliance audit during that phase as well. Phase 2 is in September, and that's where we conduct the audit of your year-end balances and the income statement component. So looking at the numbers themselves that the financial statements are comprised of. And then we also work beyond that to compile the reporting and the completion of the audit overall to ultimately file this with the requisite agencies and you all by October 31 under statutory regulation. So I'm happy to expand on that in a little bit on how that all played out. The next slide is about management's responsibility. So again, we're trying to give an opinion over those financial statements. Management retains, and the board and the audit committee retain the responsibility for the financial statements themselves. You're also responsible for state compliance requirements and responsible for establishing an internal control structure that will produce accurate financial reporting and also ensure accurate compliance with those requirements, either state or federal. So sort of those three main components is the crux of management's responsibility. We do like to talk about new accounting standards that are adopted, and we are required to communicate those. There are always some new or changing accounting standards that the Governmental Accounting Standards Board is trying to make more transparent reporting, perhaps more consistent reporting from government to government. In this case, the GASB 101 is intended to provide transparency across many different governments on respect of compensated absences. So you've previously had reported compensated absences, as have many governments in the past, in your full accrual financial reporting. This was really, the intent was to have sort of a unified approach of how to account for and what to report under the concept of compensated absences. So what does that mean in structure? It means that before perhaps you had vacation that was reported as a liability. Now the concept was incorporating all forms of leave that would carry over from year to year. So including things such as sick leave, perhaps wasn't accrued or fully accrued in the past. Sort of a broader definition of these types of leave. And so the implementation of that accounting standard resulted in an update to the net position by $4.7 million to incorporate that additional liability for more types of leave being counted. So it was a reduction of your net position because there was an increase in liability. Okay. No other new accounting standards with an impact to the financial statements, although there are always ones that management are considering as to the impact and whether there should be some change in either the financial statements or the disclosures, but this is the only one that had a presentation or number impact. So, highlighting here that we had no corrected or uncorrected misstatements. So corrected misstatements is an adjustment that we had to push through your financial statements in order to give our opinion, our unmodified opinion or clean opinion. An uncorrected misstatement would be an audit difference that we identified, but it wasn't big enough for us to require the adjustment. So we didn't have any adjustments that we identified requiring communication to you all or adjustment in the financial statement. So that's a great result, and not something we have in all of our clients. So appreciate that in this year's reporting. You can go to the next slide. This is sort of a catch-all of other communications that we're required to make as your auditor. If we had difficulties encountered with management, disagreements with how to account for something, consultations that we had been made aware of with management and other accountants. So if they wanted, the other term you hear of this is called opinion shopping. So if you heard, if we heard that management went out to another accounting firm looking for a different opinion, they didn't like what we were saying about compensated absences and they wanted another opinion from another accounting firm, we would make you aware of that. However, we had no issues or concerns to report in that regard. And then no other, I say no other significant or adverse events, and we'll talk about this as respect to the compliance audit. Within respect to the financial audit, no concerns and no concerns with state compliance requirements. But, I'll go to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about audit results. So there is I mentioned your financial statement opinion, and we gave an unmodified or clean opinion over that. It's part of the financial statements. That's the bulk of your audited financials, your ACFR, and that's why you have the same large document that you've had in the past. The other piece here on this table is uniform guidance. That is your federal compliance audit. And you might notice that if you looked at this year's ACFR and compared it to what it looked like last year, there's some pages missing. And the reason is we don't include our opinion over the federal compliance with uniform guidance requirements this year. This is because we are giving an opinion. When we do that audit, we're giving an opinion over the current fiscal year's compliance supplement. In this case, the compliance supplement, they issue a new one every year, makes sure that we are aware of all new changes to the laws and the respect of the federal programs that you operate. Each year, that's usually issued in May, maybe June. I think in COVID, it was issued in August. This year, it was not issued yet. We've gotten a draft. We've audited the bulk of the federal compliance work. It's substantially complete, if not fully complete. But because we only have the draft document, we can't issue our opinion over that. It would be in congruous with the AICPA guidance over our audit. So it would conflict with the requirements that we're required to follow. So we are sort of in a holding pattern at the moment until the compliance supplement is released. We don't have a specific date. As you are likely aware, the government just voted to come out of the shutdown last night, which means that the OMB can come back into the office and hopefully work on issuing the supplement, although we don't know, there's just not a known date on it. Our firm is involved with and participates in the AICPA's Washington, D.C. branch, where they're kind of in touch with this, and so as soon as it comes out, we will be the first to know and be able to issue your federal compliance opinion right away as soon as we get that. I can say that the work we've done on the draft compliance supplement is that we don't have any findings to report, so we anticipate giving a clean opinion over the federal compliance. We just can't issue that yet. So it's a weird year. So this slide includes some financial highlights in respect of the 2025 year as well as the 2024 fiscal year. So you can kind of see some comparisons here on total assets. So you've gone from $2.2 billion total government-wide assets to $2.4 million at June 30, 25. And then the net position has the negative net position has decreased, so it's come closer to zero. We've highlighted the net pension liability and net OPEB liability as important components because those, again, are liabilities that are bringing that total number down. And they're actuarially based, they're estimates, and they're not sort of current liabilities of the district. So if you were to sort of pull those components out of that negative number, it would have been a positive net position by a significant amount. So those two actuarially determined liabilities bring that net position down by quite a notable amount, and that's consistent with other governments who offer OPEB and are participating in a state pension liability, state pension plan. So last year's change in net position was an increase of 54.9 million. You've gone up again this year by 78.7 million. So a continued increase in the government-wide net position. And then maybe more granular but relevant is your general fund. So your day-to-day operations, your general fund fund balance has increased as well, and the change in fund balance, or that net income for the fund, has increased last year by 8.4, and again this year by another 3.1. So from just looking at the fund balance, not thinking about sort of reserves and set aside for future components and the considerations, it's a positive 74.2 million at the end of 2025. And we just had a sub-note here of the bond issuances that were made during this year under those authorizations. So, so that's really the highlight that I think is what we wanted to cover on the financial side of that. But the key takeaways here is that on this next and last slide, I believe, next to last, is that we have no findings that we need to include in your audit, and we don't anticipate any findings for the federal reporting as well, although we haven't finalized that piece of the audit. So a really good outcome. I think there was, as sometimes happens, there's turnover in different roles within the government, and we've been able to get our audit information on a timely basis. And the conclusion here on our last slide is that we were able to file this on time, and we had no adjustments to your financial statements. And we just really appreciate everyone getting the information for us so that we could all produce the ACFR, and again on a timely basis as expected. So I know I went through a number of items and fairly quickly, but I'm happy to address any questions that you may have, and I know management would also step in if there was some specific questions on the ACFR itself.
Thank you. I appreciate that presentation. Do we have any comments or questions from the audit committee? Shocking. I hear none.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the record. Can you talk about a little bit more about the election on the absence, the $4 million absence election? Is that something management elects to incorporate? And then, I don't know, Kirk, this might be more for you, but is that related to like the sick bank audit? And then, that $4 million, was that kind of a restatement?
So I just to clarify, that you're talking about GASB 101 and the new accounting standard implementation, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the 4.6 million is really the opening balance as of July 1, the beginning of the fiscal year. That impact of adding in these other types of leave that wouldn't have been accounted for under the old accounting standard. So yeah, it's a restatement, but it's to adopt the impact. It's from the impact of adopting this new standard. Yes. So it's not that the district had done anything wrong previously. It's just a change in the accounting treatment nationally for compensated absences.
Thank you, Ben.
And
Anything
it's
else?
just a difference of how you account for those absences then. And Kirk, I guess I'm just doubling back. Is that a change you guys elected to make, or is that something all districts have to make to align with GASB?
Kirk Starkey for the record. It would be basically to adopt GASB 101. Management makes a decision to do so, and that was speaking for management, I guess, that was a decision made to. Now, whether or not it included I think what Mr. Bartow is referring to is we have a catastrophic leave bank within the district, or a sick leave bank where people can donate hours to that. Would that be brought in under GASB 101, the new adoption? So if we have a balance in the sick leave bank that's been accumulating, does that roll into this adjustment amount, if you know?
So I know I'll let Kyle speak to the specifics of it, but the high level is that it's based on what would be used or paid out,
Okay.
and estimated on that.
Correct. So Kyle Rodriguez, controller for the record. We did look at the sick leave bank and took it as what we assumed would be used, and it is not paid out, so it is a smaller balance, but that is included in this calculation.
Yeah. And then I think the only other piece I wanted to address of your question Mr. Bartow, was that it is all governments throughout the country, school districts, cities, counties that are all adopting this accounting standard for this fiscal year.
I have a question.
Okay, good. So I think
Go
it should be
ahead.
more accurate now. That's all. Go ahead, Vito. Thanks.
Vito Zude for the record. Now I think I have a question. So what was being added before, or before this new gas bill was issued? What weren't we including?
So I can write up an exact, but before GASB 101, everything was included. So our value, for as large as we are, is we're not seeing as large of a swing as some government entities because sick leave is not for teachers. Or sick leave is only teachers, but it's off of what is used, and we don't have that large of a balance. So we didn't see that material of a swing. So the big difference was now instead, and correct me if I'm wrong, Charles, but it is not off of what is going to be paid or just used, but now what would be paid out as well. So there's in any other type of leave that didn't qualify for us, but the big difference is now taking out what is going to be paid out and not just used.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Todd Shipley for the record. Gentlemen, this has been an ongoing issue for a number of years. That's why everybody keeps bringing it up, how we've been able to solve this problem with the sick leave bank. So Kurt and the team have been very hard working to make this come about. So having it under a standard now appears that it may resolve some of the stuff that we've had. Kurt, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So thank you very much for that explanation.
Sure.
Any other questions from the committee? Any?
Yeah, Ben Bartow, sorry, I had one more kind of granular more question on page 10 of the PDF here. Governmental activities expense by function. I just didn't get a good explanation on one of the line items, so maybe I'm missing it. I saw nutrition services, and I read through the explanation for that. I'm looking at support services. Instruction went from 9.6 million in 2024 down to like 400,000 this year. Just wondering what the 95% decrease was there, and that might have related to.
Kyle
Are you
Rodriguez.
following me?
Yeah, Kyle Rodriguez, controller for the record. So one, I would like to follow up and give you the exact reason, as I was not here in 2024. I do believe there was a change
Sure.
in the presentation of, like, just classification of expenditures, but I will follow back up and provide that to you.
Any other
Okay,
questions?
thanks.
Any other questions from the committee?
Last one. Sorry, Ben Bartow for the record. In terms of controls, internal controls over all this reporting, do you think the district's adequately staffed to provide kind of segregation of duties for all of the reconciliations that need to be done, all the work that needs to be done, big picture?
I mean, we don't have any concerns from a financial reporting perspective. Again, our focus is on the internal controls developed to produce the financial statements. So there could be other aspects of internal controls that are not specific to financial reporting or to the production of the annual comprehensive financial report. But from the perspective of our focus, we don't have any reportable internal control findings or deficiencies that would indicate there's an issue from a segregation of duties perspective. That's not to say there can't be always having improvements to that, but yeah.
Okay, and your audit did consider that, at least as in terms of financial reporting.
Yes. Yeah.
SOD, potential
Correct.
SOD issues. Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Any other comments from the audit committee? All right, hearing none. Do we have any public comment, Jane, on this?
There's no public comment.
All right, thank you very much. I'll take a motion for forwarding this report to the Board of Trustees.
I, Vito Zuda, move that the Audit Committee forward the Washoe County School District Annual Comprehensive Financial Report for the fiscal year ended June 20th, 2025 to the Board of Trustees for approval.
In a second?
Ben Barteau, second the motion.
Perfect. We have a first and a second on that. Do I have any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, the motion passes. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2.03, presentation, discussion, possible action to amend and/or forward to the Board of Trustees for consideration and acceptance the annual follow-up of the Washoe County School District Information Technology Organizational Structure and Security Program Audit. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Vice Chairman Shipley and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Paul Casey, Internal Auditor, and I am here to present the annual follow-up of the Information Technology Audit. To provide some background, the Internal Audit Department, in conjunction with sysaudits.com, an information technology audit and cybersecurity consulting company, conducted an audit of the Office of Information Technology. Several IT governance and risk management programs, such as those established by the National Institute of Standards and Technology and the Center for Internet Security, were relied upon as industry best practices. The audit identified opportunities to improve the district's computer security program and weaknesses in resources. The resulting original audit report was accepted by the Audit Committee and the Board of Trustees in November 2016 and resulted in 14 recommendations designed to improve the department's organizational structure and security program. As of our previous follow-up, there were 5 remaining open recommendations. Of the 5 remaining recommendations, 2 are considered fully implemented, and the remaining 3 are budgetary related and are considered no longer applicable. 2 of the recommendations, 2.1 and 3.1, were awaiting adoption of a documented procedure related to incident response before both recommendations could be considered fully implemented. Administrative Procedure 7208 on cybersecurity includes a section on the district's cybersecurity incident response plan and was adopted in September 2024. Therefore, both recommendations are now considered fully implemented. The remaining recommendations, 1.1, 3.6, and 3.7, center around budgetary resources. The Office of Information Technology continues to be under-resourced in comparison to previously benchmarked districts. The department will continue to integrate its operational needs into the district's budgeting cycle in collaboration with the Office of Business and Financial Services. Based on this information and a review of prior audit results, the Internal Audit Department concludes that due to the uncertainty of an implementation timeline and the anticipated ongoing resource restraints, the district has effectively accepted the risk associated with these recommendations. Accordingly, the 3 remaining recommendations are considered no longer applicable. Internal Audit would once again like to thank the Office of Information Technology for their assistance with the recommendations. At this time, I would be happy to answer any questions from the committee.
Peter?
Yeah. Thank you for the follow-up. The only question I have is the 2 recommendations that you say are no longer applicable. You said the district... 3
Yes.
are no longer, okay.
Yep.
You said the district accepts responsibility. Did you guys get it in writing, or was it just based on your discussions with them?
It was based on discussions with IT, and it was based on our previous follow-ups and the information we have from the previously benchmarked districts from the original 2016 audit.
Okay.
Just want to add on just a little bit. That's perfect, Paul. Also, one other thing, it was also kind of from our department, driven from our department in a way that we've done, what is this, 7 or 8 follow-ups on this same thing over and over, and considering the current budget where we are right now and where if it continues in the similar pattern, we'll just keep bringing you a same report with the same recommendations, with the same status ad nauseum, with an implementation date that we'll never be able to determine. The department, just so you know, also, the department goes before the board annually asking for the resources, and the district allocates based upon on what it can, but the department has asked consistently, this is what we need. And so we just thought at this point in time, we would accept the risk. These are known issues, and instead of bringing this to the board or to the audit committee, and it goes to the board too, with the continual update of the same situation, we decided to say it's known, and we'll accept the risk basically at this point in time.
Okay. I understand, the limitation of resources. What I'm actually more concerned about is the district saying, oh yeah, we accept the responsibility. Then it falls on the internal audit. Why didn't you guys do something if something happens? So if they had any written communications with you guys that they accepted these and is now their responsibility instead of putting it on your head, that's where I'm coming from.
Good question. Kirk Starkey for the record. I have spoken with a member of the board, gave them a heads up of when we're in the middle of this follow-up, what we're looking at, what we're seeing, and gave her our idea of what we were thinking on this one, and they understood and said, go forth and take it to the committee as such. I did not take it to the entire board, but to a member of the board to say, here's where we are. But I didn't get anything in writing, no, to answer your question. No, I just, it's a memo to the file. That's it.
And you're satisfied with that, Vito Zidane?
Yes, sir.
For the record. Okay, thank you.
Anybody have any comments online? Because I've got some if you don't.
Yeah, Ben Bartel, I'll spit mine out for the record. I think a really good value add, Kirk, maybe just to consider would be for the fully implemented policies and procedures, and then the cybersecurity as well, just like a periodic test of some real basic stuff, right? Like, did they have a vulnerability scan done during the year? Are they doing what they say they're doing? Because it looks like these are all just inquiry only. I get it. I've seen this one every year since I've been doing this, so I appreciate you guys following up and Paul following up. But just like there's so many cyber incidents over and over again. So I think worth it to do a little bit more than inquiry on some of these cyber related recommendations. I'm happy to give you some suggestions.
Thank you, Ben.
Lisa. Thanks.
For the record, Todd Shipley, Kurt, I appreciate everything you do all the time. I am not okay with this. Risk known and accepted, not with the cyber stuff. We just saw what happened in the state of Nevada, and it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And when we sit here, and I will accept every year that we know that the board, board of trustees is not funding this, that we can't do anything about that. But I don't think we should sit here and say, yeah, it's okay because they're not funding it. It's not okay. It's a risk. Yeah, we know what it is, but I don't think we should accept it as being what the risk is. Especially 3.6, when they're asking for monitoring devices and they're not getting those from the budget, they're not getting the people they need from the budget, that's problematic. That's endemic of a problem that is not going to go away. And it's especially since we saw what happened in the state of Nevada, which has a fairly robust IT department, and they got hit pretty hard. So I'm not in favor of approving this to go to the Board of Trustees because of those being accepted. I don't think I think it's our duty to tell them that this continues to be a problem. And I appreciate you saying, I don't want to do it again, I don't want to do it again. But the committee's got to say, board, do your job. And we're not seeing that being done with this particular item. That's my opinion. Any other comments on this? So at this point, we have, at this point, a request for this recommendation to go to the, in its current form. I guess the attorney, can we make those amendments? That's what I was going to. Okay. So can we just make an amendment? No, I know we can't. I could vote on it. We got to make a recommendation and then everybody's got to vote on it, correct?
Right,
Okay.
you can, for example, approve a portion and then, say you, as part of the motion, want to note to the board, you do not approve a certain section and why, and then
But
clerk can forward that.
can we correct it or just make changes to the?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
correct it too, if that's possible.
Like the
So,
line on each
Ben
one.
Marto, for the record,
Ben, go ahead.
I kind of agree with you. Right? But I think 3.6 is somewhat related to other recommendations that were implemented. So 3.6 is talking about obtaining and deploying network monitoring devices to effectively monitor district to network security. In finding 3.1, they say they're doing network vulnerability scans, right? They say they're doing
Not the same thing.
well,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's not the same
similar
thing.
though, right?
The problem is,
Similar.
and I don't disagree with you, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're kind of trying to make this decision not knowing exactly what they've got implemented. You know, for the network scanning, that could be just an Nmap scan and may not find anything, or, you know, in what they're asking for equipment-wise could be substantial. Sentinel-1 or something that is going to, you know, boost them up, you know, to be top of the line. And we don't know that. Do we want to address that?
Agreed.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
I think in terms of the budgeting ones, I'd be in favor of like accepting those, right? Like they've asked and asked, you know, for 10 years now, they've been asking for additional staff and, you know, finding number one, right? Like I think I'd be in favor of accepting that or having management accepting that. But I agree with you on the network monitoring.
Kirk Starkey, for the record, maybe what I'm hearing from the committee is the acceptance of the status for the policies and procedures that have been completed, but the budgetary items still to remain open, and they would be brought back to the committee and to the board, if maybe that's an option to consider.
Todd Shipley, for the record, I would like that. I would like at least for 3.6 and 3.7 that are, you know, risk known and accepted, that they be risk known and continued. I don't know what the language would be legally to say that we want to. I want to see this every year because I want the board to know that we don't accept this.
Okay, so you could change it.
What would the language you would want?
Looking at it.
You can change it to exactly what you said, is that you approve the budgetary component, right? Process component, excuse me, the opposite. You approve the policies and procedures component of the report, but you do not, do you want to amend it or do you just not want to approve it?
No, I'll amend it. I'd rather-
Amend it, okay, and then you amend
Unless
those
is there a
portions.
comment? I'd like to amend it, not disapprove it. I want it to go to
Right,
the council,
okay.
or the trustees.
Then
Todd, I
would-
think it goes back to my first point. Like we want to see the vulnerabilities every year, right? We want
Yeah.
this.
Yes, I agree.
Is my first point.
Yep.
So what?
So then you could say, you could
3.6 and
amend
3.7,
it.
amend it to what do you
And
want?
what, you guys want to see it come back every year,
Yes.
right? Then just put that as your amended language.
So I would make the motion to make an amendment to this, that we accept 3.1 and that 3.6 and 7 are amended to say risk is known and not accepted? I don't, how do you?
Risk is known but not acceptable and you want it to come back each year? How?
To be evaluated annually.
Yeah.
Yeah, risk is known and not implemented and return for
want to
review.
evaluate it every
Return
year?
for annual review.
Okay.
That would be better.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Because I want to give
Yes.
IT the support they need, because I don't think this gives them, I know what you're trying to do, and I appreciate that, but I want the board to know that this is an issue. And then, if we, that's the amendment. So we accept with those two changes. That's the motion I've made. Is there a second to that?
Can I read the motion?
Yes.
So that,
We're
just
clear?
for the record. Let's see. I move that the audit committee forward the annual follow-up of the Washoe County School District Technology, Organization, Structure, and Security Program audit with the following amendments. Recommendation 3.6 and 3.7. The risk is not accepted, and to return it for annual review. Does that make sense?
The risk is known
The risk
and
is
not
known
accepted.
and not accepted, and should return for, and should be reviewed annually.
Yes. That would be my motion.
By the committee.
By the committee.
By the audit committee. Yeah.
That's the motion.
So that would mean we amend
Would it-
this report before it goes,
Yes.
Yes.
okay.
And you need a second.
And I need, before we
Madam
have
Bart.
discussion, we need a second to bring it to the floor. Do I have a second for discussion?
I think Ben is seconding it.
Ben, are you seconding?
Ben, are you?
Yeah, I, Ben Bartow, second the motion.
Okay, so the motion is before the floor, is open for discussion as a motion. Do we have any comments from the committee on the current motion to amend the current report?
Nicole Lohr for the record. I understand your concerns, Todd, and I support them. I also, though, as a state employee myself, would like to state the amount of security and how we were still down for 6 weeks.
Oh, I know.
So I appreciate it, and I'm willing to support, and I appreciate your work here tonight. Even with all the money, I don't know, but we can try. That's
And I
all.
appreciate that comment. It's just, I don't want the Board of Trustees to get off the hook because we're tired of sending it to them.
I understand.
Okay.
I have
Vito.
Vito Zidane for the record. I have a quick comment, Kirk. It says that they used some benchmarking, and they did the higher and the lower. So where are we in that? Are we in the middle of the high or the low in this security infrastructure?
That's a good question for
It's, Kirk Starkey for the record. It's, they used, when this entity did the audit, they benchmarked on what, there's an organization called the Council of Great City Schools, and it's just a bunch of larger urban school districts, and they put them in a pool, and they started pulling budgets and seeing who's comparable. And based on enrollment, resources, they were saying that our district, based on the number of students and the budgets between the school district, the Washoe County School District and those other, we weren't up to average, I guess. So where we actually fell in that, I don't know what they were. They just mentioned that we're under-resourced in comparison to other comparable school districts. But the ones they were benchmarking off of was that big pool of who's a member of the Council of Great City Schools. I will have a disclaimer on this one. This was another entity's report, and that's basically all we have. We don't have the work papers. We just have the final. That's the best I've got. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't get it from reading it. You know, where Washoe County actually fell within those benchmark. So, thank you.
Thank you, Vito. Todd Shipley for the
Kirk,
record.
I just had a question for it.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is Jennifer Thomas for the record. Just to clarify, the information that you just were speaking about was from 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've not even been in Reno since 2016. I'm newer. 2016, I'm newer than that. But I feel like I've seen a lot of change in Reno and in the school district in the 6 years that I've been here. So I would suggest that a lot of that information really needs to be reconsidered. And I feel very strongly with our approach in terms of flagging this to the board.
Thank you. That's a good comment. Kurt, I noticed in the past, we've also had, this is Todd Shipley for the record, we've also had more, IT background information about what's been happening, because we've been going through this process for so long. And this is a limited amount of information this time about what's happening with the IT section. Do you guys, either one, you want to address about what's been happening? I know you're working, I'm just saying, we don't have the same information I know that we've got in the past.
Kirk Starkey for the record. First for Jennifer's question, her comment is correct. I'm trying to think. The changes, our information technology department has looked at a new updated, like using those same Council of Great Cities schools to see, hey, where are we? According to, basically, we're still in the same spot. We're still, in comparison to those schools, we're underfunded based upon how that audit did their analysis. So not much has really changed in that regard. And right now, for Mr. Shipley, I know the department, speaking for them, which is probably not fair for them, but they do come before the board asking for resources annually and seeking what they need. And if their budget is to be impacted, they have not been silent. They've been positive in saying, hey, here's what we do need. But that's as far as it's kind of to address the question the best I can. They have tried. They haven't been sitting idly by, I guess is the best way I can say, as far as the department for their situation.
Thank you, Kurt. Todd Shipley for the record. And I know that. I just want to be supportive of what they're doing.
Right.
I mean, one of the things I know that NIST has changed a lot of the standard stuff over the past couple of years. So going back to 2016, things have changed substantially. And so from an audit point of view, we're seeing stuff from 10 years ago, and we're not seeing current stuff. I'm going to throw this out there, and Kirk will kick me under the table. Yeah. But do we need, to support the IT section, do we need something newer done than what our current state of 10 years ago is? I mean, is that fair?
Kirk Starkey, for the record, it is a very fair question, and based on what goes on across the world in this area, yes. Another review or focused review, analysis, audit, whatever the word would be, for aspect of IT would be a good. As our internal audit department is currently resourced, I hate to make it a circular reference, but it would be tough for us to accomplish that in the other mandated projects, to be honest with you.
Could we put,
and we still haven't even implemented the recommendations from 10 years ago. It's still,
I know. Can I make a recommendation that we put on the next meeting a discussion, because I know we can't do it now, but we put on a discussion item of how we can support the IT section moving forward with this kind of process? And maybe it's outsourced like this one originally was, and not to you. Now, I know that's a budget item we have to go through, but we can make recommendations to the board that here's a problem that we want to try to resolve.
Kirk Starkey, for the record.
We'll vote on that.
No vote on that.
Take that under advisement.
Yes.
Yeah, I will work on that.
But I can make a recommendation to put it on as an agenda item.
Just not as an official.
No, discussion item, not as a voting item, discussion item.
Not even on our agenda. Kirk has noted it as part of your discussions, and that's basically it.
So I can't make a recommendation?
You can, not in our meeting right now, but you can, I think Kirk's noted it and probably
Okay,
put it on.
thank you.
But also you guys can always talk to Kirk outside of the meeting about things you would like to see on agendas.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so to end this, so we move forward, and I appreciate everybody's time, and we're running long, we've got an amendment on this particular report before us. Gene, would you reread that again so we know what we're going to vote on?
See if I can do it a little better. I move that the audit committee forward an amended version of the annual follow-up of the Washoe County School District Information Technology Organizational Structure and Security Program to the Board of Trustees, amending that for recommendation 3.6 and 3.7, the risk is known but not accepted, and something about returning it for annual review. So not saying it's fully implemented and.
Correct.
So you would, amend the report before forwarding it to the
Correct.
board.
Does everybody understand the amendment? Okay, hearing none. Do we have any public comment on this item?
There's no public comment.
Okay, so the amendment, and we still have to vote on the motion to pass it, correct? We get a vote on the amendment and then the motion.
No,
Attorney? Okay, we have
The
one
way
vote.
you've worded it is, if this is approved, this will be forwarded to the
Okay.
board with the amendment.
Just making sure that we didn't have to do it twice. Okay, so the amendment is there. Ben's done the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes as amended. All right, thank you, everybody, for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll continue to support the IT section as best we can. All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Comment, Ben?
Thanks, Paul.
Okay. So 2.4, presentation to update the committee on the activities of the Washoe County School District's internal audit department to include current projects on the year calendar 25. Washoe County School District Internal Audit Department Audit Plan and possible action to amend, enter forward to the July 25 McQueen High School Student Activity Funds audit follow-up to the Board of Trustees for acceptance. Kurt?
Thank you. Vice Chairman, members of the committee, Kirk Starkey for the record. This is our standard item. I want to shows you the status of the projects of what the audit department has been doing, internal audit department has been doing. We're close, this is obviously November, so we're getting close towards the end of this year. Starting at the top of that item, we finished the charter school activities, the annual monitoring of the 6 schools, and the, 5 sponsorship renewals, those are done. The annual audit follow-ups that we had scheduled, the sick leave bank, the IT one, which we just went through, and the capital improvement program have been completed. Our DeMonte Ranch SAF audit follow-up, at the committee's instructions, recommendations, we're going to start that one in late December and get that one going, and then we'll have that one to you later next fiscal year, or calendar year, sorry. Right now, we're still in the process of several student activity funds, which is Incline High School and Desert Skies Middle School. We've got Sparks completed, and McQueen High School, the follow-up is completed. It's going to be, actually, you'll get that tonight as well. The other ones, the administrative projects has grown since we last met, just as a heads up. Obviously, we still have the hotline program that we handle and administer, but there's been several special projects we added since we last met. There's the Reed High School baseball SAF issue, Reed High School cheerleading SAF matter, Incline High School boys soccer. That one is completed, and we got Spanish Springs High School baseball SAF matter as well. We also plan on doing the for Mariposa Charter School, there's a chronic absentee calculation that management, with the district management, has asked us to take a look at. We're going to, when we start into our charter school monitoring, we are going to roll that one into our typical monitoring activities, and we'll get to that. But right now, we are, to be honest with you, it's charter schools. The student activity funds have kind of been put on hold because we've got the administrative projects that need to get done sooner than later, so that's where our focus is right now. And so I'll stop right here on this agenda item if you have any questions on this before moving into the McQueen High School follow-up report.
Hearing nothing, go ahead.
Yeah, hearing nothing, I'm gonna go into the McQueen High School.
Okay.
This-
Can I stop you?
Vito.
Yeah, Vito Zuden for the record. So you lost a staff, so how are you guys able to do all these things you're saying you're gonna give us in next calendar year?
Kirk Starkey for the record. Thank you, VD. Yes, we have lost a staff and we are down still. I can't, this is our current audit plan that was approved that we're working till the end of December. I just wanted to let you, we're not going to be touching the student activity funds really until this current calendar year is over because of the administrative projects. So the only thing I can say on that you would be getting for in February, maybe we could get the DeMonte Ranch High School SAF follow-up done, but the other reports that you're seeing here are probably going to have to carry over because of the administrative items we now have.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Sorry. For the McQueen portion of the report, this item was, a few years ago, the audit committee had a great suggestion to follow up on some of our major SAF audit reports, especially out of the high schools that were producing a lot of findings. So this one was kind of our first foray into it, and it was a good one, meaning that I'm glad we went in and double checked on where things were, because what ended up happening, we found that 21 of the 33 items that we originally noted are still noted as being a problem. And then also, in addition to the other routine audit work, we found 12 more issues that needed to be corrected. The one key factor in this that I just want to throw out there, though, just for consideration, there was multiple turnover of the bookkeeper position at this school, and the principal turned over too. So that probably contributed to a lot of the consistent findings recurring. When we left our field work with our typical exit conference with the school management principal, and during field work, the principal was engaged in wanting the items corrected immediately. Like when we were notifying him in the field, he was working actively to try and get those resolved. And to this day, we still see email communications of where he's trying to get these corrected and working with the business office. So there has been good action, and we're going to plan to go back out in several months and follow up and see where we are with this. And based on how this principal is acting and the actions with himself and the bookkeeper, I would expect that most of these, if not all of them, would be corrected. That's where we want to get with these. But there were a lot of recurring issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt, for that. Any comments from the committee about the report? Kurt, thank you and your team for doing that. I can see that's a lot of work, but you're satisfied at this point that they're working to resolve the issues?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, any public comments on the McQueen report?
There's no public comment.
Thank you, Jean. Can I get a motion to accept the report to move it to the Board of Trustees, please?
I, Nicole Lohr, move that the audit committee forward the July 2025 McQueen High School Student Activity Funds audit follow-up to the Board of Trustees for acceptance.
Do I have a second?
I, Vito Zita.
I, Jennifer Thomas.
Good.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
The louder voice gets it. All right, we have the motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. All right, item number 2.05, presentation, discussion, and possible action to amend and/or recommend the Board of Trustees approves the Internal Audit Department's Washoe County School District's Student Activity Fund Risk Assessment Annual Plan for the calendar year 2026. Kirk?
Thank you. Vice Chairman, members of the committee, Kirk Starkey for the record. Annually, as you know, our office submits to you a proposed audit plan for your consideration for the upcoming year. This item is enclosed as part of your packet and contains the schedule of audits planned for the upcoming year, and along with the risk assessment. On page 5, which would be probably 300 in the overall packet, but page 5 related just to this item, is kind of the summary sheet that might be easier to follow along. But just as a heads up, page 6, the following, is kind of shows how that page 5 was created, because page 6 shows our estimated hours. One more, there we go. That one on the screen, that one shows where we start with our estimated audit hours available to do for the year, and we kind of work our way backwards to get to the audits we can get through based on just estimating hours. And the way this is structured is basically in 3 parts. We have mandated audits, the SAF audits, which you get periodically at our meetings, and then now with the other administrative projects, which is kind of a catch-all. The mandated audits are what you usually see up there for the charter schools. Those we have to do under NRS statute. All the district-sponsored schools get financial reviews annually. Also, the follow-ups we're required to do because of the IAA standards. So you'll get, this year we're planning to show you the sick leave bank. You'll get the DeMonte Ranch High School SAF follow-up and the McQueen High School SAF follow-up are planned to be completed. Also, for the SAF audits, in the past, it's always been risk assessment driven and requested driven. And so that's still, we're going with that. It seems to have worked pretty good in the past. Requested this year, we still have a carryover request of O'Brien Middle School that we would like to get to, so that you'll find on there. Also, because I don't anticipate us getting to them until the end of during the rest of this current year, we'll have to carry over Incline High School and Desert Skies Middle School. But as a result of the risk assessment, which I'll talk about in a second, we're going to add Spanish Springs High School and DePoli Middle School. The administrative projects will always contain the hotline program items, and then I threw back in there the Mariposa chronic absentee calculation, because I don't think that'll be done in December. And then probably the two other SAF, Reed High School and Spanish Springs High School matters will probably have to be carried over to the start of that year. Those are the ones we know of at this time. The others, I want to say, I changed the risk assessment at the direction of the committee. I think your input was good. Actually, it was better than my explanation for not doing it. After we had the meeting, I came to realize that I think putting the schools like you suggested was probably adding more benefit than excluding them. So you'll see the schools identified in the risk assessment portion, which is page 8 on this, just on this attachment. It's several pages. I can go through how we calculate them, but it's basically, before I mess it up. There's several risk factors we use. As you know, it's very subjective, but we settled on a couple risk factors. One is financial, which is basically the receipts at the individual schools per the prior year ACFR. Staffing is a component where we consider turnover in the principal, bookkeeper, and secretary positions, because they definitely impact what goes on in the SAF universe. And then the audit reports is basically a timeline since the last audit. So the longer the time period that's expired since we last audited them, obviously it's going to be more risky. And then also we're using audit issues, which is the number of audit issues we had in the last audit, and also the type of audit issues, meaning taking into consideration recurring items or ones that are higher risk, and kind of weighting those. And after doing that, quantifying those factors, we come up to our weighted average scores for the schools. And that's how we're going to we use to select the audits for the audit plan. It's not perfect, but I think it's pretty good. That would be my biased opinion. But happy to take any ideas on that one, but I want to present it, and if you've got any suggestions off of it, please let me know. And as you know, the plan is not static. It'll have to be updated as we go, as things occur, usually under the hotline program or the administrative projects. But this is the plan, and it's based upon 2 staff. We don't have any indication that that's going to change. So I'm just making the guesstimate as 2 staff. If we do get the another staff position, then there's no excuses not to complete what is on the plan. But this is where we're at. And thank you for the opportunity to present this, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Kurt. You don't have any expectation, though, that you're going to get the staff person filled, though?
I do not have,
budget?
no.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Kurt on the report? Vito?
Vito, it's not a question. I just want to thank you, Kirk, for actually presenting this. So when we're talking of risk, we know how you come about, calculating the risk and the schools you're looking at.
You're welcome.
So this is very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, Nicole Lohr for the record. Thank you for the increased transparency that we were requesting. That's
No, I'm
very
glad
much
you asked. Thank
appreciated.
you.
And it helps us feel more comfortable in our recommendations.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Anybody online got any comments? Okay, hearing none, then I will take a motion to accept the audit committee report, forwarding it to the board. Thank you.
I, Nicole Lohr, move that the audit committee recommend the Board of Trustees approve the Internal Audit Department's Washoe County School District Schools Students Activity Fund Risk Assessment and Annual Plan for calendar year 2026.
Second?
I, Vito Zude, second the motion.
All right, we have a motion before the audit committee. Do I have any other comments publicly?
There's no public comment.
All right, no public comments. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, the motion passes. All right. Item number 2.06, presentation of a report on fraud, waste, and abuse hotline concerns and outcomes since August 14th, 2025. And this is just for information only.
Correct. Kirk Starkey for the record. As you're aware, our office administers the district's report fraud, waste, and abuse hotline program, and as attached as part of your packet on the screen right now is the worksheet that shows the status of the complaints reported to our office since our last committee meeting. Since our last meeting, we've received 20 new cases, which is like averages about, probably since our last meeting, about 7 a month. 10 of the cases have been closed, mainly for they were either people making statements only, there was nothing to act on or to investigate, or the matters brought to our attention were outside the scope of the program. 6 of the cases were referred to an appropriate responsible department for resolution and were closed from our perspective. 1 case we investigated, it was found to not have merit. 3 of the cases, though, do remain open. And on the top part of the spreadsheet that on the screen, there's 3 open cases. There were 3 open cases from our prior meeting. Of those, 1 we investigated, it was determined not to have merit, and it has since been closed. So we've got 2 still from the prior meeting open, and 3 open from our current situation. So that leaves us 5 active cases that we're actively working on. One of them is massive. It is a district-wide P-card review, so that's going to take some time, just as a heads up on that one. But that's part of the hotline program. And
that one's on here?
yes, sir. Yeah,
Which one's that?
it would be. Let's see.
Near the bottom.
Down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, down the bottom. Okay, thank you. All right, this was for information only. Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. So item number 2.07, presentation of the audit committee calendar for information only also.
Kirk Starkey for the record. As you know, this one is kind of our high-level information-driven calendar. Basically, the biggest takeaway from this one is to give you the dates of the next meeting for your planning purposes. So the next meeting is February 12th, and the following meeting would be May 14th. We don't have the other until the start of the new fiscal year. We'll get those probably at the next meeting. We'll have those for you. But the key takeaway is next meeting, hope to see you at, is February 12th. And thank you again for all your help and assistance tonight. Much appreciated. Big time.
All right, thank you, Kurt, for that. So closing items, 3.01, public comment, Jean, for the.
I don't have any public comment, in person or email.
All right, thank you. 3.02, announcement of the next meeting, as Kurt just said, February 12th, 2026 at 4 p.m. And with that, let's adjourn the meeting. We're done. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here today.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jean.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Jean is the unsung hero. She wrote it correctly.
Yep.
Thank you, Jean.
Yep. Yeah, thanks. Take care.